Hi, I'm Wendy.
I'm Lori.
And we are small business owners in Northwest Ohio. And we thought we'd start a podcast. Welcome to Hot Topics.
Cool friends.
What am I listening to? That's a great song. I love it.
You like it?
Where'd you get that?
Does it sound familiar?
It does. It does.
Well, you know
Somebody
why.
cool must have written that.
They did. Someone very cool.
Okay.
Today we have with us Gary Wagner, owner of Music Go Round and a very prominent musician in Toledo.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yes,
I'm glad
yes.
you think so. Thank you.
Well, you are. You're in like,
Thank
what,
you.
now 20 bands?
Keyboard players are in short supply, so
Why is
I
that?
get a lot of calls.
That's not true. You're just really talented. I've
It takes
seen
more fingers. so.
Okay. Yes. Well, let's start with the whole, tell us about your business and how long ago you
My
started.
business.
Yeah,
okay.
Music Go Round.
I started music around 11 years ago. We opened in 2014, and I started working on it in 2013, and that's where I've been ever since.
Mm-hmm.
I decided it was time to leave big corporate America and go do something that I really love.
What did you do in big corporate America?
Oh, I don't know if I can talk about that.
Yes, you can. You're a very smart person.
Well, I'm an engineer
Mm-hmm.
and with a big business background, so I spent a lot of, about 40 years in automotive design, semiconductors, aerospace, industrial electronics, anything that has to do with high-tech electronics.
See?
He's very, very smart.
That's why when he does sound,
we
it's
don't talk about
fabulous. That's why.
right.
Well, I don't know about that.
You're humble. It's true. It's very true.
No,
So,
I just haven't lost my hearing yet. So
well, I mean, that's a
all.
big
That's because you don't blow the speakers out. So that
But they cost
matters.
a lot of money, so I try
yeah.
not to.
There you go. There you go. So what? How did you get to Music Around? I know it's a franchise. What was that first?
Well, I've started several businesses, mostly in high tech and electronics and control systems, things like that. So we won't talk about that since we're talking about music. And I had done that several times. So I have a very entrepreneurial spirit, and I wanted to get into something that would be fun to do, that I had always enjoyed as a hobby.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started researching music. How could I make a living in music? And I thought probably the best way would be, nobody's going to pay me to be a studio musician or a touring musician. I didn't have those chops. So I thought, what about opening a music store? Mm-hmm. So I looked into that, and I could either do it by myself or I could do it as a franchise. And if I did it as a franchise, then actually somebody else has made all the mistakes, so I get to just pick up and learn from them what to do and what to do right. So I decided to go the franchise route. And like I say, now we've been there. It's our 11th year now.
How's it going? How's the economy been for you? Is it,
It's not as good as I would hope, but economies are economies.
Yeah, ebb and flow to all
ebb
of
and
it.
flow, and I just look for ways just to be happy and treat my customers good, and hopefully everything else works out.
it's always easier to sell things you like too
Yeah,
and be a part of something that you.
I don't like being in it for the money. I don't chase money. I chase being good to people, being just a good person, and enjoy life. And
That's right.
Well, that's
everything
what-
else will come, right?
Right?
Well, that's what's
So.
so cool about the concept of the store, because there's, you help so many people be able to get instruments that maybe wouldn't
They couldn't
be able
afford.
to go buy a brand new instrument.
Yeah.
So I think it's a very cool concept.
I think
in
I looked at
helping.
that. Sorry, I didn't mean to step over you, but we looked at that a couple years ago, and we had, at that point, recycled about almost $3 million worth of instruments that would have otherwise
Wow.
just be sitting in closets or who knows what. So,
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm happy for that. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
very cool.
That's one of his
It is
very cool
cool.
things. Yes.
Oh, boy. I'm
So-
going to find out all the things that make me cool.
We're
Because
gonna
I don't
put-
know any of them.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
When did you start playing your first? When did you Did you as
Oh,
a young
boy.
kid?
Oh, young kid, yeah. I used to sit on my grandmother's piano bench when I was, well, from the time I can remember sitting on her piano bench, I must have been about 3 years old. And she was a piano player, and she played mainly by ear, but she also read music. And she played in honky-tonks when she was younger. And at the point in life when she was my grandmother, she was still playing. Everywhere she'd go, people would ask her to play. And she would play at an American Legion down in the north end of Toledo every Sunday in the afternoon for the people there. So it was she was very musical. My family was all very musical. All my aunts and uncles played accordions and pianos, and we'd all get together at parties and sing and play instruments. And so I would sit and watch my grandmother play. And after, there was one song in particular I loved, and it was called Edelweiss Glide, and it was this long classical piece that was probably 6 movements. And I said, Grandma, can I borrow that music? She had the sheet music in her bench. She said, sure. So she handed it to me. And it was a very complicated piece. And I went home. I must have been about 6 at the time. I had taken piano lessons for about a year. Went home, I learned it note for note. And I came back to her about a month later, and I sat down. I said, watch. And I played the whole song for her, and she just stood there and watched. And
Wow.
And so, yeah, and we used to love to sit and play piano together. So she
Can't
was my
even
inspiration.
really-
Yeah. So he can read music, but not only that, if you give him a song, he can listen to it one time and just play it, which is pretty amazing.
I've seen him
Probably
do
'cause
it.
I've
I
heard
forget what
every
event we
song.
were at because you said, "Watch, he doesn't know the song," and and I was like, "Well, it was a Bob Seger song. I can't remember what it was, but
Yeah.
yeah, wow, that's amazing.
Well,
That's
that's
why
Very
he's
cool.
in 9 bands.
That's why he's in 9 bands." Yeah.
well, it helps to listen. I know I'm not doing a good job of it now because I keep talking over you guys.
No,
but,
no.
yeah,
It's okay.
musicians need to listen to each other and really play off of that. And I try to compliment what other people are playing and not step over them and play something that would interfere with what they're doing. So that's
If you had a choice or occasion to play with anybody you wanted to, dead or alive, who would you like to be on stage with?
Oh, I'd love to be on stage with Billy Joel. I think that'd be fun.
Well, somebody call Billy. I bet he'd do it.
Because he's still alive.
He's still alive.
I almost partied with Billy.
Really? Where
Yeah.
was this?
So in 1978, I went to the 52nd Street concert at the University of Toledo, at the time called Centennial Hall.
Oh, yeah.
And it was a great show, and I didn't want to get up and leave at the end because everybody was leaving, and it was going to be crowded on the road. So I waited till everybody pretty much had left, and I got in the car and I started driving home. And I was sitting at the corner of Douglas and the entrance to 475, and a limousine pulls up next to me. And they rolled the window down in the back, and I rolled my window down, and they said, "Hey, were you at the concert?" And I said, "Yes, I was." "Billy Joel?" He said, Yeah. "We're in his band." I said, "Oh, cool." And he said, "The guitar player, his mother lives in Temperance, and we're going to go up and visit her." And I said, "Oh, that's neat." And we're having an after party at this little restaurant out on the river. Don't know what it's called. I said, "Is it Frank Uncle's?" He said, "Yeah, that sounds right." I said, "Okay. Why don't you stop out?" I said, "Well, I've got school tomorrow." I was in college at the time, and I've got to work tomorrow. I was working full time, and I said, "All right." And I thought they were kidding me. I thought it was just a joke. That these were just guys that went to the... And so the next day in the Blade, I open it up and I look in the peach section, and here's Billy Joel's after party at Frank Uncle's. And I thought, oh, man.
Oh, man. Sort of like your
That was a big mistake.
your Eminem
My big
mistake.
mistake,
Yeah.
yeah.
I was invited to Eminem's birthday party.
And she didn't go. I'm like, what? Anyway.
That would have been fun. Yeah.
Different.
Yeah.
2 totally different parties.
2 totally different parties, and I don't usually get invited to parties like that. So, yeah.
So what bands, let's see. So are you, I know 20 was extreme. How many are you officially in now?
Officially playing 3 bands, and then a 4th that's really not a band, but it's a Sunday night thing in Sylvania at Sodbuster that
Yeah.
we do with Bobby
You
May.
guys all get together.
Yep.
It's really a
Yep.
good time there.
So, yeah.
What are the names of your bands?
Oh, you want me to name them?
Sure. Let's see if he gets them all.
Sure. Whitehead Mac is a band I play with, and The Cheeks is another band, and I also play with Lori, actually, in a duo called Something to Talk About, and then this Sunday night jam that I do. I was playing with J.T. Hayden for a while as well, who's a great local artist. I'll plug him if I can.
He is great.
He's up and coming. He's going to do a short tour in a couple weeks, and I've played with him many times. They've asked me to keep playing with him, but I just don't have time. But they're great people, really great people.
They are. I like them.
And several of your other guests, I'm sure I've played with too.
Right.
And yeah.
Well, I mean, and I need to thank you, along with Ramona, that we spoke with, for always. You are like top volunteer. You never ask how much or when but you're always right there to give back your time and for sound and playing with the bands. It's just something I'll get all teary-eyed about it. But I'll do it when, we don't even ask me
Right
how much
there.
money.
It's
So thank you.
it's something, I feel I can do to
Yeah.
give back to the community. And
I think that's something to say about all the musicians, that you all honestly just love to play. Like it's just in your blood that you are going to do it because you enjoy it so much. Of course, we all would love to have, get paid for all the things because we have
well,
to.
the money's nice, but
yeah.
I think if they took away the money,
Yeah.
that I think 95% of all of us musicians would play for free. If there was no money. And I just think it's our heart and our soul.
well, I'll give you.
Ramona's still
I'll
in the
give you
studio, and she's like, no.
I'll give you no, and let me just say to that, though, a lot of musicians, that's their livelihood, so
Yes,
right.
they should be paid,
Yes.
and they should
And
be paid, at a
Accordingly.
rate that allows them to live. I mean, that's important, and
right.
to take advantage of that and make money for your establishment, but not for the musicians that you have entertaining your guests and actually helping you with your business is wrong. So
Totally.
Well,
Agree.
for
I'll
sure.
just say that.
I was just saying that they love it so much.
No,
it's
I know
so
what you're
in
saying.
their
Right.
it's their passion that you know.
Yeah, they don't mind giving of their time. And I was just going to give you a story because I quit playing. I played guitar, actually, through high school and college. So I was in a band, and I was the lead guitar player. I never touched keyboards. We had other people that played keys. But I quit playing when I was done with college at about the age of 21 and went to work and didn't play out again for about 25 years.
Wow.
And then I joined a band in Detroit, and I'll say this, and the reason you mentioned how great musicians are, there was a woman that worked for me in my office in Detroit, and her husband was a musician, and that was his primary job. He was an accountant by training, but would go out and play every night of the week. I came into work one morning, and they had been on the road playing in Fort Wayne, and she called up, and she said, I won't be in today. And I said, well, why not? Are you okay? She said, yeah, but my husband was in an accident last night on the way back from his gig. I said, well, is he okay? She said, no, he passed away. I'm like, oh, my God. And it was just like this huge shock. But I went to his funeral service, and all of the musicians showed up, and then they all did a benefit for her and her family, all at their own, without taking a dime for themselves, and just took over a bar and made all this money to try and help with the funeral expenses, which were all unexpected. And I thought, this is the musicians' community. And this was up in Detroit. And then when I was working in Toledo here and started the music store, I mean, it's the same thing here. It's such a community of people, and they're also willing to give of their time and their talent to help other people, that it's just it's a great thing to be involved with. So, sorry, I didn't mean to be a downer on the
that's
story.
not a
but-
downer. That's a great story.
No,
It's just
we're
true.
very fortunate to have the community of musicians that we have. I mean, very fortunate.
The local talent is crazy. Crazy good.
Well, and another story there, music around when I was starting it, since it's a franchise, they're based out of Minnesota, And they said, why do you want to open a music garage in Toledo? I said, because the music scene here is so great. And they said, really? Toledo? I said, yeah, Toledo. And, these guys are all in Milwaukee and, California and Texas and Tennessee, all these other places, Florida. How can your music scene be that great? I said, just wait and see, And I've shown them over the years, the level of musicianship in this area and the number of venues and the number of just incredible musicians and people that come out of here. And yeah, they're like, yeah, we see why you did it now, because this area is great.
So what advice would you give? Let's start with, since you're sort of a double threat here you're a businessman and a musician. Let's start with the music side. What advice would you give upcoming musicians?
Just, if it's your passion, and just enjoy it, I guess. Don't worry about comparing yourself to somebody else. Do your thing, and do it for your enjoyment. Do it for the enjoyment of people that, come to hear you. And like I said, I quit playing out for 25 years, and I sat in my living room and played for my children. And that was my enjoyment. And so whether you're doing it as a gigging musician or whether you're doing it just when you get home from work to wind down and have some enjoyment, just, pursue your passion. So.
That's good advice. What about the business side? What advice do you have there?
Don't be afraid to again, follow your passion, do what's in your heart, and surround yourself with people who also support you and can help you in what you do. Don't go it alone. There's always somebody that knows something that may be able to help you, and just be a good person.
Yeah.
So,
Laura, you going to ask him the question?
So, why are you our cool friend?
I knew I'd get asked that question, and I really I struggled coming up with an answer, but I think the right answer, the answer that just keeps coming back to me is because I know so many cool people. So.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
That's very good.
That's smarty pants.
He is a smarty pants. Well, would you come back and hang out with us again?
Oh, always. You know that.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah,
and
thank
thanks
you guys
for writing our music.
Oh,
hey.
yeah. Back
I
to
knew
that.
I'd heard that before someplace. Thank you guys for having me. I really enjoyed it, and I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well,
Thanks
thank
for the
you.
song, and thank you for taking care of Lori all the time, because I know she could be high maintenance. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my gosh, I am so not high maintenance. Wendy is.
I'll let you guys
Well,
figure that one out.
Thank you for joining us today on Hot Topics Cool Friends. I'm Lori.
And I'm Wendy.
We would like to give a special thanks to
Chris Pfeiffer, our executive producer, and
Gary Wagner, who wrote and produced our music.
if you guys have any questions or comments and you want to listen to more of these wonderful episodes, head on over to wgte.org/coolfriends or anywhere you stream your podcasts.
And remember,
To thank your local business owner.
and go out and hear a local musician.
WGTE. Voices around us.
WGTE is supported in part by the American Rescue Plan Act funds allocated by the City of Toledo and the Lucas County Commissioners and administered by the Arts Commission.